Good evening, everybody. It's 8:30. It's Friday night. We're on time, and welcome to your Not Another Rangers podcast. It's been do you know what I'm going to say? Every podcast I said the last couple of days. It's been a busy week, isn't it? Trying to be all ironic. It's been a quiet week, isn't it? It's actually been crazily mental. And Monday when Scott and I were on, and Ross, we weren't really thinking much about happening. Ricky was away and missed an episode. Wasn't much happening. He's back with a vengeance when there's all sorts going on, and we will struggle to contain it all within an hour. Before we get into the world of Rangers, how's your real life been, Ricky, the last couple of days?
Travelling, mate, so a pain in the ass. So Rangers has gave me some cheer in my life for once, because travelling's always a bit of a nightmare with airports and planes and people annoying you. So Rangers has been the calm in my life this week, which is for once is a massive change. So all good my side.
And in your world, Scott, how's it been?
It's been all right, Gary. As I said to you before, I've been trying to buy a house, so it's difficult because we're getting gazumped left, right, and centre. So we just have to keep looking. But ours are sold, which is good. But you just have to keep looking for some.
So it's buying a house is harder than buying a football club. Apparently, it seems to be based on this week. There's only one bidder for a football club, and there's a whole host of bidders for a house. So you're struggling a little bit. We're going to talk lots to cover tonight, right? So we have got tons to cover in the next 45, 50 minutes or so. Obviously, we will do it not in chronological order. We'll jump about some of the bits. I suppose it would be, I have a retro shirt on. Not quite the retro shirt that is from 1992, but one from just before then. But I did wear it in honour of a certain Rangers versus Leeds United game. It was as close as I could get, just to kind of bring these things together. It's been a bit hectic. Tuesday morning was obviously quiet. Nothing much was happening. And then we go on to Tuesday, Patrick Stewart comes out, I think. Wednesday, Rangers Takeover comes out. Thursday, Europa League draw comes out. Friday, Philip Clement speaks, and Dave King rears his head, desperate for a little bit of attention. So we're going to cover all of those and more in the next period. I suppose first, where to start? Where to start here? Nobody's asking. Ricky, there's been lots of chat. Lots of talk. The big topic of the week is Elon Musk the secret investor that nobody knows about for buying Rangers?
No, I think he's too busy with Dodge, mate. He's too busy causing carnage in America, looking under the bonnet, and unless he's planning on that money he saved from America, he's going to send some of that our way to Ibrox. He's going to buy Ibrox with all this money he's saving Trump, so that would be fantastic, mate. But no, it's been we needed it. We needed a shot in the arm, and the takeover news, as you said, it's best to start there. Broke on Wednesday night. I thought it was a bit weird that it broke in the Daily Record, so everyone was a little bit apprehensive when it first broke, because Keith Jackson's not exactly got a great track record. We're still waiting to sign Warren Shankland and all the other pish he's came out with the last 2 years. But it turned out Chris Jack, the Grim Reaper, he was we were all waiting for him to come on X and tell us, oh no, what a garbage, but he went the complete opposite way. He's been doing somersaults with Johnny all week on the Rangers Review, and they've had some great content, so it looked like it was they confirmed it was a goer, and ever since then everyone has been scrambling for information. And I was watching podcasts with this Parag Maraf today, Leeds United podcast, to try and get a gist of the guy, to see what he's all about, and I was really impressed, to be honest. So let's hope it's true, and let's hope it happens before the start of next season, and we can start rebuilding properly, because we needed it, Gary. I don't think we were ever. I think we were in a giant hole, and I don't think we were going to get out of that hole with like Dave King says. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says, but this investor fatigue for me had definitely set in. So now we've got a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of impetus into the boardroom to take us forward. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that we can get this over the line, and it'll be an exciting few years, hopefully. And we can get our Rangers back, mate. That's the most important thing. Get our club back, because going into that last Old Firm game with zero feelings, and like watching against Hearts at the weekend, and you're not celebrating goals and stuff like that, it's been quite a hard season. So hopefully we can get this over the line and start seeing what these guys are all about, and start planning for the future, mate.
Definitely, and we're going to cover all of that. So I suppose, obviously, just to get, for people that don't know, we're living under a rock. Wednesday night came out, as you say, Keith Jackson, bit of scepticism at first. Very quickly, very quickly it became apparent that there was more to this than met the eyes. When those media friendly or Rangers friendly media outlets start to publish stuff, and Chris Jack and those ones are writing articles that are burning through the keyboard, you soon become aware this is also been primed. Back to that around whether Patrick Stewart's interview was about partly priming some of the stuff that was going to come over the next couple of days. But Scott, you're looking at some of the chat, you've obviously been giving some views on it, and we've been talking quite positive about the whole idea. The general thoughts about US investment into Rangers?
I just think we need something different, Gary. I know every investment, every new owner's a risk, and I know that, and obviously you've got to be cautious, but I think the parts, King, Gilligan, Bennett, etc., who else is there? I mean, Latham, I think they've all done reasonably well. They've all done, since they've come in, and I think it took over 2015, they've done really well. They get us back an evil kill, as you can say, for the previous owners before that, and I think they've taken Rangers as far as they possibly can. I think business-wise, they've done okay, but I think now we need to go forward, and I don't think they have the finance. So even the finance piece, we have spent money at all. We've just done it really poorly. But I just feel we need something different, a new direction. And I'm happy with this. I'm actually buzzing about this because we're not the first club to be linked with. I mean, the City Group's got a lot of clubs. Do you know what I mean? Red Bull's got a lot of clubs. This is the way football is going, Gary. It is the way to go. And people are saying, we're going to be a feeder club. But the pathway thing kind of does that anyway, because we want to bring young guys in and sell them for a profit and stuff like that. It does mean you can't win domestically. They're still challenged in Europe because that's what we have to do. We're challenging Europe just now. Domestically, it's been poor. But I do feel we need new hindsight behind the scenes. I feel we need a new direction. We need guys that can come in and... I know Leeds, I was listening to their podcast like Ricky, and I know the guy was saying it. They kind of put a restructure in. They stopped buying so many players and paying guys thousands of pounds a week that weren't they offering anything. And I'm saying to myself, that sounds like us. Do you know what I mean? They come in and put a different structure in, and they were all sceptical at first, but now they're sitting top of the championship. Listen, they might not come up, but they might. But financially, they're doing a lot better. The fans are all happy behind it, and I mean, I don't know if it's the same one Ricky watched, but the guy kind of talked about Rangers briefly, and he says Rangers fans should be really happy about this because globally we're a bigger brand than them. They play in the Championship, they get more football through TV rights because of where they play. But globally we're bigger, merchandise-wise, and we're playing in Europe, they're not. So he's like, I don't see why the fans wouldn't be happy, but I just feel because we've got stuff we've had previously, with the previous folk that came in after David Murray, and it's kind of scared everybody who don't want to go down that road again. So I can see for that side, but I feel this has to happen.
Yeah. So just for those that are watching and those that want to get into the comments over the next couple of days, I'm going to ask questions that maybe just provoke some commentary. I'm not going to say that this is my opinion. That's part of the process. So I suppose Ricky, is there some reservations that we aren't asking enough questions so far? Just listening to a lot of the media stuff around what somebody else wants to get out of it. We obviously all remember a certain Mr. White walking down the Edmiston Drive in 2012, the billionaire Mr. White at the time, obviously as he was, and there's obviously some scar tissue around that. So I think that there's right for some to have some reservations, there's right for some to have some fears. What do you think that allays those fears? That's maybe from what we've seen in the last couple of days.
Well, they've got a track record, that's it. They're not just... you've got to look at the people that are involved in this takeover, right? And the interview I watched today with the guy was fantastic. He didn't... When they bought into Leeds, they only bought a certain percentage of the shares to start with. So the guy basically had no idea about football. And he served an apprenticeship at Leeds for 5 years before he went into the chairman role this season, and he learned. He knew about American sport and about American football, but he wanted to learn about European football. So he came into Leeds under the Italian guy, and the Italian guy at Leeds did a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. So he was able to learn from him, and that's what he wanted to do before he felt like he was ready. Okay, I'm ready now to jump into the chairman role. The guy himself doesn't have. he's from a middle-class family and that. He's not an actual billionaire himself. He's backed by billionaires behind him and stuff like that. So this has all come out quite early information. So fans are right to be a little bit sceptical because of the situation our club is in right now. We're in an absolute rut. So, of course, it's good for the fans to get excited in that. But we should always have trepidation about these people that are coming in. But, I mean, all the information's there nowadays on the internet for you to go and find out about these people. These people that are coming into the club are not... to be honest, I actually think they're in the club already. This group is actually linked to the team that are doing that are looking under the bonnet just now in the club, that are checking everything. This is definitely 100% linked to this takeover. They're doing their due diligence. They want to see straight away exactly what the club needs. I always thought it was a little bit strange that Patrick Stewart was coming in and this was all going on and there wasn't much information about it. So now when you start like doing the dots together, you can start to see exactly what's going on in the background, and it's fantastic that they're doing that. So they actually are doing their due diligence just now. They've got experience with European football and running football clubs. Like Leeds were in a bad situation and they've managed to turn the Leeds around pretty quick. They're going to invest in the stadium. The stadium's getting expanded up. Leeds is going up to 50-odd thousand. It's going to be the 7th biggest ground in England and stuff like that. So they'll have plans like that for Ibrox as well, you know. So I can see, for me, if it is what the early information tells us, I can only see it being a good thing. But fans are right. I mean, we'll have to see who's going to be involved. You can find out now. All the information's there about these characters. So, but what's the alternative, Gary? I mean, our Rangers guys have ran out of money. They're sick of putting money into the club, and they can't run it. They've proved over the last 10 years that they're incapable of running the club. We've got 17 million losses this season, and that can't continue because it's going to reach a point where they're going to want their money back. So where's the club going to be in 5 years' time? If we're getting into the Europa League and we're getting to the final stages of the Europa League and we still can't make the club run and break even, then what state are we going to be in 10 years' time if we keep with the guys we've got just now? So we've needed this investment for a long time. And okay, I thought Dave King's interview today was absolutely pathetic, you know. He said it was all confidential. Don't say anything. It's all confidential. It's going on. And then gives this massive interview. Oh, I took these guys to the table. It was all me. This is my legacy for Rangers. It's like, mate. And then at the end, he says it's not even signed yet. It's nothing's been done yet. And it's like, mate, what is this interview you're giving me? You know, he's been under a rock for like 6 months, and then he just like peers his head from beyond the rock. This is all me. I'm doing this. I'm Rangers saviour again, which I thought was pretty.
He's brilliant. He was brilliant. He was brilliant.
I thought it was pretty poor on his part, to be honest.
It was outstanding. It was Dave King at his best. You know, I mean, I wouldn't put a fiver down beside him and leave it and for anything. You know, he was it. I've met these two people that look beautiful. I found it one I fancy the most, and I'll take them to the mates to go and get them to buy into it. You know, it was all me. I'm doing what a great job I've done. I'm only interested. Well, though his interest was about selling the shares, and has been for about 5 years. But it was outstanding just to see his.
He was, the way he took credit for it, and I hope he's not, because obviously him and the Parks don't get on, and I think they want to sell the Parks to sell their shares as well. So his interview will just really wind them up the wrong way when they read that today as well. So I hope it doesn't start putting a big fracture, and it starts, because we want this to happen and go ahead. So we don't want the boardroom to be fighting with them and people going against them and stuff like that, because you know what some of these businessmen can be like. So I thought King should have just kept that all to himself and not come out with that today. I know, but I just thought it was too much. It's not even done yet, Gary, and it was just very strange as interview. I thought, especially the end where it's like everything's confidential between the two parties. But I'm telling you that I did it all. It was all me. It was like, what is going on here?
It was interesting. So we'll come back to that because I think there's probably a fair point around the whole investment. I mean, this has obviously been on for some time. Scott, you're a Man United fan, so I'm going to play devil's advocate again here, right? So Man United has been hamstrung for many years about the whole Glazers buying the club, or even Ineos to this extent. And what they've done is rich people have bought clubs, but because of fair play, because of all these other things, they don't actually invest anything in the club. So they're going to pay 100 million to buy the club, I think, as the rumours are. But with financial fair play, with all the other stuff, it's not going to bring loads of money to buy the next Lionel Messi, is it?
To be honest with you, I don't think that's going to be strict as it has been, Gary, because I think Man City's won a few court cases behind the scenes about loopholes, so I don't think it's going to be as bad as maybe they're trying to make it out just now. Listen, the mindset situation's different for anybody. The Glazers are just in that for the money. They've in that. They've not invested anything for 20 odd years and they've made a lot of money. And United is just a bin fire. It's getting worse every single day. But you see American owners in other clubs and they've done really, really well, or involve other clubs and they've done well. Like I said, you're always going to go on with thoughts as to what way it's going to go. But I think these lads has got in the boys from America and whoever else is part of the concern. I think they're going to go on and we've not got the money they can steal anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I think they're going to go on and try to make it different and try and get us financially set, get the structure well, and I think it has to be a success. Because I don't think they're in it for a long time. I think you could end up going with maybe the Red Bull consortium, because that's the way the Leeds are talking, maybe going back with them. So I think it'll be interesting, Gary, but I think they're doing it for the right reasons, to be honest with you, because we were involved with that, was it Kayla Fox at one point, and the board knocked that back very, very quickly. But this one, they haven't. So I think they wouldn't just sell to anybody. So I think they've thought this through and thought, this is going to take the club forward and this is going to be good for Rangers. Whereas I think the other one, they thought, nah, we don't like to look at this, and they knocked that back, like I said, very quickly. So, and I think, like other people have mentioned, this has been in the running probably well before Christmas. Talks and stuff like that. So, and obviously you've got Dave King just trying to sprout his ego, isn't he? Dave King's all about ego. But obviously Thornton knows a lot of people. He's on the board now, and you've got Latham who's always working out there. So I think there's been a lot. But I think these guys are probably come in and noticed, they know about clubs all about the UK. They know the ones they can get for not a lot of money and ones they can think they can build up to a success. And yeah, domestically, listen, don't get a lot of money domestically, but they've seen us in European football for the last 4, 5, 6 years, and they're thinking. And then you heard Cousteau talk about our fan base globally, so they can see what Rangers can offer. Yeah. Whereas other clubs might not be able to offer that. And we know ourselves, for a big club, it's just where we play. It's Scottish football. So you just don't know. But I think they've done it for all the right reasons. And like I said earlier, I'm really excited about it. I'm looking forward to it happening, and I can't wait until it's concluded to see where we go from there. But I'll see Scotty's in the chat, but I'll just ask everybody watching and your two selves. If you remember in the 80s, we were in a partnership with the LA Rams for the NFL. Now I can't remember exactly what the partnership was. Does anybody remember that? I remember the LA Rams.
Before my time.
Don't kid yourself, Gary.
I was playing with Roxcare in the 80s, mate. You're the only guy that dyes his hair ginger on this panel, mate. We were, me and Gary were kids in the 80s, mate.
Don't lie, Ricky. You're doing your paper round, and Gary was driving, had a job at the time. Does anybody know who that partnership? It was LA Rams came out.
I can't remember that, like.
And it was when the stadiums all different colour seats. That's how long ago it was. But I can't remember why they were there. But I know we were in a partnership with the LA Rams because the NFL wasn't big in the UK at that time, like it is now. But I'm wondering why that. I can't remember why that happened. I mean, I was only 10 or 11 or something, but I can remember them being there. But I can't remember exactly why I didn't. I know they didn't own us or anything, but Scotty said they didn't. But I remember it was in a partnership for something, but I don't know what the partnership was for.
Nobody knows what you're talking about, Scott. Nobody knows what you're on about. If everybody in the chat knows, we'll come back to that one, right? We'll see if...
Google it. Go maybe somebody can find it.
Somebody Google it and get back to us, right? That's because I've no idea. Ricky, so in terms of that, I mean, obviously the big thing that's been talked about in the last few days is about the whole Leeds stuff, the feeder club stuff. There's a few the links between 49ers and all that and part of the group. How do you, I suppose, to me there's not really nervousness about it because the two clubs, two different leagues, and it happens all over the world now, but there seems to be a little bit of fear.
Nah, it's nonsense, mate. It's an investment opportunity, and it's. I mean, when the Leeds guy was getting interviewed today, it was actually a good interview because it was from the fan. It was like a fanzine like ours that was interviewing the guy, and he's when he was speaking about Leeds, all the things they wanted to do for the team and how they picked the manager. These guys are very analytical, Everything is like is very, very structured, and the stadium's a big deal for them. They want to make like match day. They see Rangers. They're looking at Rangers, and they see ways that they can improve the income coming into Rangers. If they can get the team into the Champions League, if they can get the right manager, they can get the right players for the manager. So thank God Clement is now a caretaker, but we'll speak about that later. But it's nothing to do with being a feeder club for Leeds. There was rumours that maybe if Leeds get to the Premier League, Red Bull might buy Leeds off of them, and probably for their guys, if I don't know how much they paid for Leeds, I think somebody said 170, something like that. So if they get Leeds to the Premier League and Red Bull offer them double the money in 5-6 years that they've been investing in Leeds, then of course they're going to take that, because that's the whole point of the structure of what they're trying to do, So they probably see Rangers as trying to get us back into the Champions League. Magnificent fan base, magnificent stadium. I mean, listen, Rangers is an institution. You heard the boy from Castor speaking so glowingly about the club, like when he was saying that we made Castor as a business because they couldn't believe when they took Rangers on as a brand. Premier League teams think they're big clubs, but really, there's a big fan base that watches the Premier League around the world, but the amount of shirt sales and that was going on at Rangers, just Castor could not believe it. They were stunned when they heard about this was the projections and about what actually happened. So these guys are smart, It's not as like the way that Dave King and that was speaking today. You don't just go up to people and go, okay, can you give me $200 million? I had two people. It's very difficult to actually dangle that carrot and get people interested, because these are smart business people, So for me, it's nothing to do with being a feeder club for Leeds. I hope that for me, it would be good if they are invested in Leeds and they are invested in us. And I don't have a problem becoming. You look at Man City. There's a lot of teams doing it this way now, so I wouldn't have a problem being involved with the 49ers and then with Leeds and stuff like that. So for me, it would actually be quite cool. It's the way it's like bringing Rangers into the modern world. This is the way sport is going. People want from America to invest in soccer, as they call it. They want to have football teams on their portfolios, as you would call it. So for us, I mean, it can only be a good thing. I know people want Trump and Musk to be involved and stuff like that, but they are a little bit busy in America. Trump's causing absolute carnage, and Elon
bring back the plastic straws, Ricky. Bring back the plastic straws. That's the main thing.
Plastic straws at Ibrox and the big hands, the big red hands, and I'm sure. No, but I loved their idea about the stadium, because the stadium is a massive deal to these guys. So I do think there is a good chance that they would invest in the stadium and see about, because they'll look at the waiting list with fans. If we've got 20k on a waiting list, they'll want to get that. A plan in place to bring. They'll see that as lost income, so the things could be super exciting in the next. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but we'll see what happens. But things like that could be super exciting, and there is a chance it could happen in the future because the stadium needs it.
Yeah, definitely. So Scott, one of the things that probably became apparent, maybe between the Patrick Stewart interview and Dave King coming out and telling you he's been dating these couple of investors and all the other stuff that's been going on for the last couple of months, is that this seems to have been on the cards for some time. This isn't a very recent thing. I mean, you go back to the AGM, I can't remember who it was now, but certainly a number of the investors didn't come to the AGM, particularly the Hong Kong ones, ring a bell. So I don't know whether, so it does look like this has been on the cards for a while. It's now been strategically leaked because it's far enough down the line that they can gather or gauge people's interest. They're talking between April and June for it to actually potentially go through. And when you've got SPL and everybody, SFA and everybody already out saying there's no real issues with it, it seems that there's been many a discussion in the background and almost at that stage when we're ready to pull the trigger.
My internet broke up there and was trying to find me.
So no, I was just saying, I suppose that it's been on the cards for a number of months. It looks like there's been lots of things happening in the background, and some of the decisions that's been made, particularly Patrick Stewart coming in, and all these other things all seem interlinked, Clement staying and all the other stuff that goes with it. So I suppose, are we now understanding why things have been as they have been since the start of January, maybe?
Yeah, now you can, Gary. I think we were all expecting Patrick Stewart to come in and crack the whip and change things like that. But now, with what's been happening, I think you can understand why things are happening, like Clement staying at the end of the season, no making knee-jerk reactions, decisions and stuff. So now this has come out. Like when you heard his interview the other day, you were thinking he's keeping Clement, these other things, but he spoke really well, I have to say. But then this came out the following day, you're like to yourself, right, now I understand it more. You can kind of see why he was saying it. So, like I said before, I mean, I'm happy, and I was watching Clement earlier on today, and he was asked about the question, and to be fair to him, he didn't say a lot, but he looks like a guy who knows maybe at the end of the season, if a new owner's come in, he's not going to be there anyway. And I felt kind of sorry for him, I have to say, if I've been criticising him, because it's a hard position to be in, knowing you've got 11, 12 games left, a European game, but it doesn't matter how well or how bad you do, the new owners are going to bring in somebody else anyway, which, I said myself, I'd have sacked him like the other week, but I sitting there, I just kind of felt sorry for him, because that's a very difficult position to be in.
It wasn't nice, some of the questions. We'll come back to that in a wee minute, because I was interested. So we're going to finish it, because it's nearly 9 o'clock, so I'm going to finish the takeover stuff with a little game, right? A little game. Because I'm a Meatloaf fan, and like the rock music and all stuff that goes with it. So we're going to play a game of I would do anything for 49ers, but I won't do that, right? So very straightforward. I'm going to give you some statements, and you're going to tell me whether and what you do, Ricky and Scott, as you sing. I won't do that, or I would do anything for 49ers, right? So this tests your skills in that sort of area. So the first one I have then, I would change the name of Ibrox to San Fran Arena. Ricky.
I would do anything for 49ers for the right money.
Scott. You're going to say?
No, I'm going to change the name, no. I'm going to change
it's still going to be Ibrox to us. We're going to call it Ibrox anyway. If they put 20, 30 million on there, who cares if it's called whatever it's called? It's always going to be Ibrox.
So
I want to change it to San Francisco, but come on, Gary, we're in government.
Whatever it may be. So,
Alcatraz.
So, I would do anything for 49ers and I'd match the blue strip to their red and white colours. Remove the blue strip, red, gold, red and white. Ricky?
No chance. Absolutely no chance. I can't remember what I was supposed to say. I won't do that. No chance. No chance. Absolutely no chance.
Scott?
The way strip can be red and white, Gary. That's great.
Right. I would change this walk-on music of Simply the Best to YMCA. Ricky?
Definitely. Oh, yeah. For 100%, man. A giant Trump and cheerleaders. Beautiful cheerleaders as well. No Lana Wolf or any pigs like that. Proper honeys before the game with big giant Trump. Sack Broxy Bear.
And obviously, personality is more crucial than looks. Clearly, Ricky.
No chance. No dogs allowed.
Scott?
There's just no dog. Another bears. Listen, keep Broxy Irish.
No. Broxy's gone, man. Big inflatable Trump.
Right, last one, right? The last two, right? I would change the name of the club to the 49ers.
No chance.
49ers, aye. No, maybe the B team or the women's team or something. No, the men's team.
Final one, and maybe most controversial one, I would change the name of it. I would move from Govan to a new location in the outskirts of Glasgow.
Nah, no way, mate. Nah, Ibrox is there's space there to knock down the free stands. No way would it ever move to a new stadium.
To be honest with you, Gary, that's not the equation for me, because a lot of teams have done it. I'd rather stay where we are just now. But
Scott, remember when we moved, what it was like with you guys with Hampden, mate? It would be exactly the same.
No, but
it was like
you can never say never about that.
No, you can't move up to Ibrox. No chance, man. The history.
I would rather stay where we are, but you can never say never for these things.
Not
so
doing the
three stands. Kind of ruined the Meatloaf angle in this. It was simply, I won't do that, or I would do anything for San Francisco 49ers.
Don't talk about Meatloaf after I've not had my dinner.
I'll go into your dinner. Do people still eat Meatloaf?
I won't do that. I won't do that. No way will leave in Ibrox. No chance. Stick to the American owners out your ass.
Let's get them to. So, as the weeks and months go on, we will have more of these discussions, no doubt. You know, but if we are talking about June time for it, because every single week we talk about this, there's no point covering every single case right now. It's far too early.
Definitely.
There was a few other things that happened during the course of the week. So, Dave King, as you talked about, I don't really want to give him more. airspace. He just talked very much how great he was, to be honest. So, but there was the Patrick Stewart interview, and there's some interesting bits in that. So, do you want to pick up maybe 3 areas of it? One would be the sporting director, Ricky. So he came out and talked about the need for a sporting director, and kind of in the same breath demoted Niels Coppin a little bit. Kind of seemed to me.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see if Coppin is still here next season, because for sure his nose will be put out of joint because he's been promoted, up, down. And what I was annoyed with Stewart's interview, right? And I'll tell you why. Because it didn't make sense at the time until all this takeover stuff. But like the way that he sort of came out, and he was defending Clement at the time, and the way that he spoke about, oh, we need a director of football, when you were like, so honestly, I was listening to it with my hands in my head, thinking, so you let Michael Beale go absolutely nuts with all the tuck shop money, and then you fired him and brought in a manager that's even worse and let him go mental with the tuck shop money. We've got no money left. And now, after we got rid of Ross Wilson years ago, who was a bad director of football for us anyway, we're going back to the big exclusive is we're getting a director of football again. I was like, come on. But then everything made sense. So this sportsology that are involved in this looking under the bonnet are 100% to do with the American owners, American company. They've worked for the 49ers before. So this director of football was probably an early call from them to say, guys, what are you doing? Get a director of football in there now. Let's start looking now. So they've got like 6 months to find the right man, and let's hope we can find a good director of football. I actually thought, as Ross is at it there, I actually thought Mark Allen was a better director of football than Ross Wilson. I thought Ross Wilson gave some crazy contracts out. So I think it is the right move, and every football club should have a director of football. But it's just a little bit annoying that we've went all the way around in a giant circle to get rid of one, to do things different. It's just like it's like nobody's had controls. Nobody's had the controls of the controls, and now hopefully these American owners are going to sort all that out, because there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, and that's one of them.
So, Scott, I'm just picking up some of the other things that you talked about Clement a wee while ago. I mean, I watched the interview as well, and I thought it spoke quite well. Patrick Stewart, it was fine at what he'd done. But what did kind of come across to me was that I actually felt a wee bit sorry for Clement listening to it, because it was kind of saying, he's not done well enough, it's not been particularly good. Nobody wants their boss out talking publicly to millions of viewers about how poor he's done, and he's there because he's done well in Europe. And it was a little bit more harsh than I thought it would normally be in these type of Rangers TV interviews.
To be honest with you, Gary, I think it was coming. I think it's another time at Rangers he'd have probably been bagged. Do you know that way? I just think he's been given an extra bit of leeway, maybe because this has been happening. I don't think it's been, now when you look back, I don't think it's been a reason. Yeah. The Queen's Park result, 13 points behind. I mean, managers before him have been canned for less, or for not as bad, I think, the records. So, like I say, I felt sorry for him, but I'll not be crying any tears when he leaves. I think he's done okay, but I think a lot takes down to his own stubbornness, I think, at times with the team formations and structure. But I do think we needed somebody else in charge for next season. I'll be quite happy when somebody else comes in.
Just, I suppose, obviously the review's ongoing, and there's a lot of management speak when they was talking about the review will always be ongoing. It's an evolution, all that sort of nonsense that people say. But he talked about the sporting director was obviously one of the evident things. The review, obviously now the takeover stuff has come out. But, Scott, obviously the question is, have we been duped to some degree? Do you think Patrick Stewart and Fraser Thornton are already in there as effectively part of the incoming organisation, and the review is part of that, or do you think it's there's a little bit of coincidence with it? What's your take on it?
I don't think we've been duped, but I think they brought, maybe we don't know who's brought them in. Has it been the board there? Has it been the people talking to the board that's trying to take over? We just never known. Nicholas has asked me who's a new manager. That's not my remit. I would bring in a British manager, but if you're going to the consortium to look for a manager and they bring in a sporting director, he will folk he knows. He will folk it's maybe linked to that organisation. You just don't know. I mean, I was laughing during that day when I mentioned Jesse Marsh, because that's who they first brought into Leeds. But listen, it could be anybody, because you don't know who they're going to look at. They're going to look at a European, they're going to look at a British manager. I know they brought Farquhar into a Farker into Leeds, and he's actually done all right since he's been there. So you don't know what way they'll turn. Do they come for a European manager? Do they go for somebody further afield? Do they stick to British? So it could be anyway. But I just think, Ross, the more you think about it, it has to be done. And I think I think Patrick Stewart, when you look at it now, I think Murray has been brought in with other people, but we just don't know. Nobody's going to ever tell us that. But I think the club, I think the owners at the club at the moment knew they couldn't go any further. I think they were fed up having to put their own money in, because at the end of the day, it's their money and they were never really getting it back unless new investment came in. We mentioned that before, investment, and it was always about somebody with that amount of money. And I think they always knew they made a lot of mistakes, the board, over the past, with the managers they've appointed or the contracts they've given out, and that's a lot of it's on their decisions of bringing people in. It's not worked out, but they're the ones that have to pay the finances. So I think it's good for us. I really do. And listen, I don't really know who the new manager will be, a director of football will be, but I think it'll be an appointment where they'll probably look at it carefully, because they can't get it wrong. But it could be anybody. There's a lot of directors of footballs out there. They can go with somebody with experience, they could go with somebody young and upcoming, or do they go with the analyst type that just does everything through the digital stuff, because that's the way some clubs are going. So you just don't know what way is going to happen.
No, true.
Ross has put in the chat Davy Weir. I think that's a great shout. I think Davy Weir for Brighton, I think he would be a great shout as director of football. Me personally, Brighton is a well-run club. They've got a lot of information. He would be able to bring in a lot of good information from what they've been doing, and similar, especially with the way they find players and stuff like that. So I think he's director of football, but that's going to be a long situation there before we know who that's going to be, for sure.
Was David Moyes not trying to get him to go to Everton?
Maybe, possibly. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
They've got new owners there, Americans as well. Same people own Roma. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. Aye.
I think, I suppose, the new manager, as you say, is probably at least our worries now. There's a couple of months yet before that comes into fruition, and it will be who it will be. I think just that Robert Dass, got saying duped, was maybe a bit harsh, I suppose. I'll take that back slightly. I suppose what I was saying was, when you look at all the signals now as we get to it today, there's a whole lot of things that led that maybe we should have been a bit more aware something was in the offing, and the fact maybe Dave Cobb was quiet for a couple of months might have been part of that. But there's a whole host of things that maybe led to something coming to where we're at now. So moving, I suppose, I want to kind of cover some of the football things as well, because we will talk about this week in, week out for the next couple of months. There's a Europa League draw, so we got to find out our route to the final, Ricky. Our route to the final, you've been saying since the start of the season. So we've been drawing against Fenerbahce and Jose Mourinho, and at a wee look today, they are 6 points behind Galatasaray in the Turkish Superliga. They have a really good group of players. Quite an old, experienced team, it's fair to say. And in the Europa League itself, they won 2, drew 4, and lost 2. So they were 24th. They didn't qualify particularly well. I suppose your thoughts on it was either going to be them or Bodo Glimt. I actually prefer Fenerbahce because I think they'll rise to the occasion better than we would have against Bodo Glimt, despite them potentially being the weaker of the two.
Well, it's a good tie, good match. It's a little bit of glamorous as it's going to get in. Obviously, Jose Mourinho. And he believe me, someone will be showing him the Rangers press conference today, where Clement basically called him a dinosaur and said he didn't like Jose Mourinho's style of play, and he prefers other managers and the way that they play. And I was watching the press conference thinking, pot kettle black here. What does Jose do with Fenerbahce? Does the big centre back punt it to the right winger who's standing like a statue and wait for moments to score goals? So he's definitely lit the torch paper today, the way he was speaking about Jose Mourinho. But it's a great tie. I mean, I love Mourinho. I think he's a strange manager because he was so fantastic for about 10 years. And then he just fell off a cliff for some reason. And he's never been able to get it back. He's never been able to adapt with the way football's adapted, and it's been very, very strange. But he is box office, and it'll be great to see him at Ibrox. Fenerbahce, people are saying they want to see the tifo when Souness put the flag in the centre circle. So luckily the home game's the second, because if we did that in the first match, then it would definitely be fireworks in Turkey. So let's keep that for the second match. But it's definitely going to be a fascinating. And we've been fantastic in Europe as much as Clement is our caretaker manager now, and he does our heads in and stuff like that. You can't knock what he's done in Europe. And Fenerbahce is away record. I mean, the Man United was the first game he's lost away since he came in, and we've had some really tough away games. So you've got to stick up for Patrick Stewart decision there, that maybe if Clement can pull one more rabbit out the hat, we can go to Turkey and surprise them and stay in the tie, and then when we go back to Ibrox, it's all to play for. So we've got a chance of going through. I would probably say it's maybe a little bit in their favour, because they do. If you look at their squad, they do have some fantastic players that are on crazy money. But we'll give it a great shot, and we'll see. It'd be great if we can get into that last 8, and then a nice tie to Roma. And I know that Kerr's got trepidation about Rangers fans in Rome, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
So Fenerbahce, I think they won 5-2 in aggregate. They beat Anderlecht, so 3-0 and over in Turkey, and then 2 each yesterday. I was actually interested in a side before USG, FCSB, some of these other teams you played, actually, how well they were doing in some of these, although USG went out yesterday, but they were 2-0 at one point, and Steaua Bucharest, as I'll call them, how they've actually done as well as they've done. I haven't watched them at Ibrox that time. I'm amazed by. Sometimes I wonder where we put our teams down. So route to the final, as we will play in the next round, we will play Roma or Athletic Bilbao. Then we're off to Old Trafford again for a semi-final, I believe, or we won't be off to Old Trafford. It's unlikely we're going to allow fans there, given the last one. But looking at the game, Scott, I'll be looking at the team. They've got, what can I say his name? Lakovic, the Croatian keeper, Diego Carlos, Kostic, who cost us a European final, if you remember rightly, with that cross that gave them the equaliser. Amrabat, Fred, St Maxim, Edin Dzeko, who's about 47. But still scoring tons of goals. They have a strong, experienced team. And as Ricky says, Clement was kind of hoodwinked a little bit, because he asked him a few times to get him to clarify what he was talking about. What we already know, that Mourinho's a negative manager. But he went for it was a good bit of clickbait. So looking at the game, you happy with the draw? Are you content with it? Are you concerned?
Listen, to be honest with you, I think it doesn't matter who we got, it was going to be difficult. I think we've punched above our weight in the Europa League this season. I do think we've done really well, but when you look at it domestically, we've punched well above our weight. But Mourinho's an experienced manager. I love Jose Mourinho. I mean, I'll probably want to go up and get my picture taken him. I just think he's amazing. I just think he's a character. I could listen to him all day. But people say he's defensive. He is, Gary, but he's clever, very clever. I mean, I think every club he's been with, he's basically won something apart from Spurs. But that's not a surprise, because Spurs are Spurs. I mean, he won the Europa League with Conference League with Roma, didn't he? And then he got to the Europa League final with Roma, and he never won that. But I just think he's a clever manager, and it's going to take a really, really superior effort for the Rangers team to get through this time. I do, and they've got a lot of experienced players. They have. We also missed Tadic. I've got Tadic as well. And if these guys click, they're going to win. We just hope they have enough couple of games, and maybe they're feeling a pinch because they're getting older a bit. But no, it's, to be honest, I think we can come up against a more difficult manager, because he knows how to win games, especially like cup games. You know what I mean? He's done it previous at times. He's won quite a few European trophies. You know what I mean? So I think it's just one of the things. I'm looking forward to both ties. We have to do well away from home, I think. And I'm the game away from home, I'm not that worried about as much as the game at Ibrox, because I think we always play better away from home than we do when we're at home. I know that's, but in Europe I think we can go away a lot of places and do really, really well, get a draw, nick a win. We've done it so often. But at Ibrox, it was even the Benfica game, we went away and played fantastic there, and then we came to Ibrox and they ran over the top of us, do you know what I mean? And it's, I don't know why, but I just hope Mourinho maybe goes more attacking, because I feel we're better when we're sitting deep and hitting the break. Yeah. But if he wants to give us more of the ball and he hits the break, then things could be different, because we've kind of struggled with that at times. Because if he plays a low block, that's all he has to do, play a low block, and we're snookered. But it'll be exciting, Ty. I'm just wondering, Gary, what the price is going to be, because I've no doubt that'll be out shortly, and it's going to, I'll probably say it's going to be about 52, 55 quid, but I could be wrong.
I think you're right. The one thing I'm pleased about is we've got a free weekend. I don't have a Scottish Cup to worry about. That gives us a whole weekend between both games to prepare for it.
That was planned, Gary.
Really?
That was planned.
So it sounds deliberate to me. That's what I'm going to go with now. I think the reason is we wanted out because we needed to focus on Europe because he's a good European manager. That was the way we were going. So I suppose in terms, obviously, but the European game's a few weeks away yet. We have got, I think, the 12th favourite. I looked at the betting earlier on. Tottenham and Man United, the two favourites, perhaps unsurprisingly.
Nonsense.
Yeah, but they're English. That's why they're the two favourites. You've got I think it was Lazio and Athletic, the other two that were up there. So, but we, looking at the betting, we're pretty much similar to the majority of teams. We are probably one of the 12th favourite for a European trophy, isn't it bad? In the last.
I agree with you. And there's a lot of good teams left. I know you might, somebody said there, you're talking about Pascal's Mourinho, but he's still a good manager. I would take him in the place of Clement 7 days a week and twice on a Sunday, but it's a lot of good. I watched the Roma game the other night against Porto, and they both played well, but Roma won 1-0 down and never panicked, and back 1-3-2, and there's a lot of good teams that maybe don't play well in the league, just like us, but they turn up European nights, and they'll think now there's no many teams left. Every team in it thinks they've got a chance to win this.
Yes.
So you have to beat your best, and you also have to carry a lot of luck. And hopefully that continues with us.
The English teams are always the favourites. Okay, I know because they're.
That's just the bookies here.
I know, Kerr, it is. But when do they ever get to? They never even get to the final. The last few, it's always the Spanish teams. Atletico Bilbao will be a tough draw. They'll probably knock out Roma. It's always the Spanish teams that you need to worry about in these competitions. It's never the English teams. I think we've got Man United again in the semis if we knock out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if we get to that point. But I remember the year we got to the final, and it was mad that us in Frankfurt got to the final because everyone had basically been a
Barcelona, that was permutations, all these things.
Yeah, Barcelona. Frankfurt knocked out Barcelona, and we knocked out Leipzig. It was nobody was predicting that. So these especially the Europa, you just never know. I don't think we're good enough. I don't think we're good enough this season to get to the final. We're punching above our weight. To get in the last 8 was fantastic. So for us, whatever will be. But we'll give it a good shot, and we'll see. Hopefully, we can get at least past Fenerbahce.
And then, as Scott says, tight margins, all these things. Even our biggest rivals were at quite a tight game during the week. These things, there's not a big margin.
Oh, the one that did the note, Jesus Christ, man, the overreaction to. I don't know if you saw Graham Spears on X, man. The way that he spoke of the greatest ever performance from a Scottish team in Europe, it was so good. And they're like, "Oh, did Celtic win? No, they're out. But then the draw today, no, they're out." So just garbage, absolute garbage.
So Scott, Ricky, you watched the press conference. I'd like to just pick up on a few things. One, they asked a lot of stupid questions that they repeatedly told them we're not going to answer. I don't really know why they waste their time and energy doing that, but I suppose the bits that jumped out to me was young players need to earn a place. Someone tried to I suppose the Mourinho stuff, to try to trip him up with that. And again, we have a few injuries. I was really interested to hear Casemiro still out. They mentioned that again. That was good to hear. But there was a lot of press conference. Sterling's still out, Barron's still out, Balogun's still out, and now Stewart was added to the list. But Danilo's in full training, and Cortez is in full training but not fit enough to play. I think was the kind of gist of the press conference. I don't know, was anything that you took else from it?
Yeah, disappointed again with Suter. Another injury, another small injury. We won't see him again for 6 weeks, and it's reaching the point that someone needs to be doing, if Coppin's doing his job properly, he needs to be doing a graph and seeing how many minutes these players are available for him. We need to be moving these injured players on and be brutal. Suter is a fantastic defender when he's fit, but when he's fit. Sterling, good defender when he's fit, Danilo, good striker when he's fit, Roof this week signed for Derby. We've got way too many players in our squad that don't contribute enough throughout a season to be able to challenge for a title. If a player is injured for one season, you can say, well, even Cortez is quite young. I know fans are on his back and everything now, but you can sort of say, let's give this guy a chance in the future to see if he can get fit. But see the guys at 3, 4, 5 seasons now that are injured all the time, we need to be moving these guys on. And see this about youth players. How are youth players this is like in like a job environment when they say, "Oh, a guy needs to get experience," and it's like, well, how can he get experience if nobody gives him a chance? It's like these youth players. If we're not going to give these guys an opportunity now to see what they can do, how are they supposed to show what they can do if he says they need to earn minutes? They need to. I bet these guys are doing all right in training. So now is the time that St Mirren at home, we need to see at least one of them, see a Curtis or see a Rice. And the way that he spoke about the youth players, I was very disappointed to hear the caretaker say that he doesn't plan to play. It sounded like the team is going to pick itself. It's going to be the experienced guys he's going to go with, I know that fans will be on his back. It doesn't matter what happens now if he drops points and stuff like that. But now that we know that he's only going to be here until the end of the season, then you can sort of say that fans will maybe be a bit lighter than they would have been on if we go to Ibrox tomorrow and we didn't know about this takeover. And St Mirren sit in, which they probably will, and it was like a repeat of the Queen's Park game, then fans would be right on the players' backs and stuff like that. So the team will be interesting. 3 o'clock on a Saturday, it will be interesting to see the team that he goes with. But by the sound of things, the youth players are not going to get an opportunity, and it's going to be the same players. Proper will come in for Suter, and it'll basically be the same team that played against Hearts. Maybe Danilo.
I'm going to come back and ask you, Ricky, in a minute. A couple of options, right? I'm going to give you some scenarios about who might play. So we'll come back to that in a wee minute. Just to stick in the press conference, Scott, I don't know if you've seen it, if there's anything that jumped out to you. I think, as I said, one of the ones, do you know, it was like asking the janitor at school whether they're happy with the head teacher's performance, you know, all the time, do you know what they're doing? And what's he supposed to say? Do you know, I can't answer your question. I don't know. But in terms of the actual press conference, as I said, was there anything that jumped out to you that was anything different from other ones? Someone work hard, they're a good manager, they do well, etc., etc.
No, listen, someone will come and say there's a lot it done the last time. They probably could have scored because all Asanya had a cut of chances he was doing it and he just put a finishing. But they'll sit down deep, hit us in the break because they've got pace up front. Someone they've got all Asanya, they've got Mandarin, a couple other boys who are decent. So, but it's up to us to break them down and score goals. I think we'll go with roughly the same team as last week. Listen, I can agree. We have to start playing the youth players because we'll never know if they're good enough, and then it comes into the season, they've not enough minutes. Some of them will end up going out on loan. Some of them might not be here, but you have to try because if you don't, then there's no point having youth players running about the club. And they're playing games now, and to me, I know people are still hoping for the league, and mathematically it's never over. But to me, we're not going to get back in the league title race. So this is probably a chance to blood the young guys to see how they can do. I know we've done with Rice against Queen's Park, and he wasn't great, but can they get chucked under the bus? But we have to, I'm not saying blood them all, but give Rice minutes, give Curtis minutes. I mean, Anziala's been playing really well, and he probably wouldn't have had as many minutes wasn't for injuries, but I think he has to. But I think we'll go with the guys that maybe started last week, maybe somebody else had, maybe Lawrence will rested and Barami back in, I'm not sure. But I'll also on the John Stewart, I think, Gary, before you go to somebody else, I like Stewart. I think he's a really good defender when he's form. But we can't keep in his contract. Is his contract up? Has he got a year left?
I think he's got a year left, as you know.
2 years left. So I just don't want to be paying guys money who are injured quite a lot. I mean, and I know it can't be helped at times with footballers' bodies and stuff, but and I like
last season, was he? Was he injured much last season? Was it season before he was? But was he last season?
He's always been roughly the same, Gary. I mean, he has been available, and he's a fantastic defender. He's probably still, for me, he's our best defender. And if he was fit all the time, he's captain material, you know. But the problem is maybe you can carry one or two, but like someone, I think it's not often Scott Carney's got a good comment in the comments, but he had a good thing about the minutes there. About we've got 15 players, I think he put up, that's only the amount of like minutes they've seen for the wages we're paying is there it is there. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. How can we compete for any trophies when that is like, if we're carrying 25 players, that's 15 players, that's on that. It doesn't matter who the manager is, Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, if that's what you've got to deal with as a squad, it's impossible. Every time we're playing Celtic in a few weeks' time, right? I bet you any money we've got about 6-7 players out, and they'll be exactly full strength again for about the 10th Old Firm game in a row. they'll be at full strength, and we'll have 7 or 8 players that will be injured with these little injuries, and that's, it doesn't matter. Celtic, like, you need your strongest squad and your strongest team to be able to compete with Celtic, because they're getting all the Champions League money. So it doesn't matter who the manager is. This is the things that these guys need to sort out with analytics. We need players that are fit, that suit, that are going to get us points in the league, and that are going to get us challenging and qualifying for the Champions League.
So just picking up Curry's question, I'm going to get you to answer that quickly, Ricky. Curry's got a question on, do you think the recent, this week, effectively, in terms of Stewart and the takeover, do you think that's going to bring the fans back for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, definitely. There's a positivity about the club again, for sure. But I think it's the come on. I think most fans are just going to see him as the caretaker manager he is now until the end of the season. So it's a bit easier to deal with when there's a bit of hope that we do have excitement going into next season. This season's a write-off almost already. We've got Europe, but none of us really think that we've got a chance of winning the Europa League. So I think fans, listen, I think, get Kurt to answer this. Him and Curry can have another square go. But fans are going to support the club. Fans are going to, and that's, I love that about Rangers fans. Like, I know people say, oh, boycott and don't do this and don't do that. I love that our fans are loyal. And it doesn't matter how bad it gets, that they still want to follow the team. Like you say, Gary, it's a day out for you with your daughter. You love taking her to Ibrox. You've probably got your routine that you go through and stuff like that. Even okay, it's hard just now. It's not as exciting as it should be and stuff like that. But that's when the good times are good. You deserve the good times because you've been there when you're drawn against Stirling Albion at home. You've been there when you're losing to Queen's Park. You've been there, you weren't, I'm boycotting, I'm staying in the house. So for me, if you go through the really bad times, you deserve the good times.
So let's go teams, right? So team, I'm going to give you some decisions, right? And you can back them. So I'll get you to do them first, Ricky. Fernandez or proper, right? So we're assuming NCL is going to play their centre half. I think Fernandez or proper.
It'll be proper 100%.
Hefty or Yilmaz?
I would like to see Yilmaz and just give Yefty a break, but I think it will be Yefty.
Dessers or Lawrence? That's me going for Dessers, got up front and Agaman drop behind.
I would go, if Danilo not, I would go Danilo if he's fit enough because he's been training now for 2 weeks. But if not, I would go Dessers, especially at home. I don't want to see 4-3-3 and Lawrence struggling to get about the park.
I know I went to his Hadji or Barami on the left.
Hadji, Barami, waste of space. I wouldn't write that one almost off for me.
Scott, I don't know, those 4 or 5 I said there, any particular changes you'd have from Ricky in those ones?
Not really. No, I would bring Dessers back in and play like a man behind or out in the left, whatever, but you can't go with Lawrence tomorrow. I mean, Tom Lawrence is probably going to be leaving the end of the season anyway, and I know Clement likes him, that's why I brought him back, and he's probably going to think, well, he's back fit again for European games, but I always think we play better when we've got one up top and one just behind, like we have been with Dessers and Agaman and Danilo. And yeah, they can, not every game they play great, but I think we're a bigger threat than we just play with one striker. I think when we play with one striker, Agaman's probably better, but he gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and Dessers struggles with maybe up front himself. But I just seem to think it, go with 2, gives teams more to think about as well, Gary. Do you know what I mean? Maybe get 2 guys that can move about and take chances. And Dessers, I think Dessers plays better anyway with somebody going off him and just work with himself.
Yeah, I like Dessers like himself. Sorry, on you go.
It was strange the Dessers situation because he was playing brilliant before the window closed, and then dropped him. Like, it's like, why did you drop him? Like, he was playing good and scoring goals. Like, one game he didn't score, and he was going through this unbelievable purple patch. And I don't know if he was putting his hands and picking balls out of the bag that day to pick the team, and Dessers never came out. But it's totally bizarre that straight after the window closes, he puts him back on the bench rather than sell him in the window and just goes back to the one striker. And Igaman is like being pretty poor for a few games now. But that's what happens with young players. He maybe needs taken out of the team and just a couple of games on the bench just to get that hunger back in him. So again, for me, strange management decisions from Clement with a few things with the way that he's went about it the last few weeks with Dessers for me,
Nicholas has put about, I think claiming Ricky said Hadji was a waste of space. No, I think it was Barami you were talking about there, just to clarify.
No, Barami, I said, Barami, I just said that what I mean with Barami is I think he's had enough chances. I think other players deserve to be playing ahead of him. I would much rather 100% see Rice and Curtis in the team before I would see Bajrami. They deserve the minutes to see what they can do before we see a guy basically getting minutes and looking so disinterested as Barami has. And Hadji's a moments player as well. Hadji can come alive and be absolutely fantastic. Like the Old Firm game when his dad was there, he was incredible. He was brilliant at Ibrox and he was the reason we won 3-0. But then you get other games with Hadji where he's just no at it, and it's so you never know what you're going to get with Hadji as well. But we've got a lot of players like that in the team as well, Gary. You know, Czerny, I'm a big fan of Czerny, but I think Czerny can be like that as well. He's a very, like, he's involved. Like I heard you speaking on the pod on Monday about him. He's not involved in the game, and then he'll score the goal that wins you the game. But the actual, so he can be unbelievable. But a lot of games you watch, he's really frustrated. He kept giving the ball away. Well, like Diamande last week, and that's how Hearts were breaking on us, creating chances. So we need to cut that out of our game.
Yeah. Do you know, funny enough, just to remind me of something, I was at a meeting with a guy, it's a Hearts fan, was at the game last week, and he was actually saying to me, he was quite surprised the criticism Rangers were getting after the game from Rangers fans. He says, actually thought Rangers played pretty well at times. You know, it was a strange game. Both were attacking each other, but they didn't think it was quite as bad as was being made out in a lot of the conversations, which I suppose is maybe how we feel as much as sometimes the reality of what's happening. Just to finish off then, sorry, were you going to say something, Scott?
No,
just to finish off, because I got at 9:30 and sadly I've got a son to pick up from work who if he watched Rangers Plus, he would be sending a message and asking me where I am. Looking at scoreline then, so looking for tomorrow, we're obviously looking to get the result against St Mirren. Scott, what do you think and what do you expect? Who you think is going to turn up trumps for us?
I think it'll be a tough game again, guy, because it always is just the way teams play, but I think we'll win. I think we'll win 3-1 again. I think someone will score, but I think we'll win 3-1, and I think Dessers will get one, Agaman will get one, but I think Czerny will score first.
So what, yourself, Ricky?
3-0, I'll go 3-0 and I'll go Czerny first goal for me, and Danilo will score coming off the bench.
I think that it will be 2-0, Dessers to certainly score one of them, and the other one will be Czerny, because Czerny's the other one that scores most of our goals at this moment in time, I think. So we will be back on Monday, and we will be looking back in this game, talking takeover stuff, no doubt. We will also be looking ahead to a game at Rugby Park, which is in the Wednesday night, I think. Is that full card that night? I'm not sure. Is that full card?
I think there's some game Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm not sure, but I know we're on Wednesday.
So we have Wednesday against Kilmarnock before we then come back to Ibrox next Saturday. So it's going to be a busy week again. I think this week breaks when things were supposed to be quiet in between podcasts and Monday and Friday night, which never actually happened in reality, is over. We're back to 2 games a week. We're back to lots of talk and trying to capture it all within the space of an earth. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. We do appreciate the time you take watching us and listening to us and commenting both now or in the chat afterwards. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you on Monday evening. Good night.